Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, hey.
Hi there.
Hi. Welcome to Faith, Love, and Coffee. I hope that your Sunday is a beautiful one. It is beautiful here in North Georgia. Sun is shining, which it hasn't for a while. It's been like raining all week. It's absolutely gorgeous. Um, so I hope it's gorgeous wherever you're at as well. Thank you for joining us today. Today's topic is Jimmy. You want to take that one away?
Yes, I'm not going to say it as probably fancy as I should, but I know we're going to talk about labels, right? Yes. And the labels we put on ourselves as women.
Mm-hmm.
As women.
This is a big topic, you guys, because I know that, I don't know about y'all, but there are times where I have a lot of self-negative talk, you know. Sometimes I think I'm not enough. Sometimes I think there's some words that I can't even say here because this is a Christian channel. But
there's two and two together.
I know there's some things that, that I through the years have been through this. And, I don't know. I think it hit me hard one time when I kept on saying my husband to a person, like to one of my friends. And I would always say, "Oh, my husband," instead of calling him by his name, Matt. And they're like, he has a name, right? But that was my identity for him. So, I mean, I don't think Matt has ever really called me like, "Oh, my wife, my wife, my wife." He's always said Trish, Trish, that kind of thing. But whenever you're talking about someone or you say things about yourself, those give you identity. So, and the things that I used to put on myself, I've gotten better about it a lot. I've gotten a lot better about it. But the things that we say to ourselves and the identity that comes along with those, that's big. And, we're going to talk today about a few of those. Y'all ever, done that?
Yes. Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's hard to move past some of those labels that we put on ourselves.
In what way?
Okay, for instance, I'm going to give an example. A label that I've put on myself for so many years is Devin's mom. Devin's mom, Devin's mom, Devin's mom. I've been Devin's mom. What happened to Jamie? Jamie existed 25 years before Devin came into the world. And so for me, I have to find out, I have to go back to Jamie. What happened to her? You get so involved in your labels, whether it be mom, sister, auntie, wife, all these things, right? Whichever you choose. And some people have them all, right? But for me, I think I took that one so seriously that I forgot who I am. I'm like, okay, trying to find who she is. Mm-hmm. And so those can really be, it's hard to pick and choose, how you're going to let those labels define you or not.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see that. I think that like when you really engross yourself into something like that, when you engross yourself into one of those labels that you put on yourself, you chip away sometimes at the person that you were originally. And then when all the years that you've put your heart and soul into, even if like, and mom and sister and wife and all those labels also, but also worker, co-worker, CEO. Sure. I mean, anything related to your job. And once you're done with that, and, like say people who go into retirement or your kids, they fly out of the nest. Who are you? Who do you become? Do you come like that person that you were before a long time ago? I mean, are you a hybrid now? I mean,
right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, how do you take those steps to find the person that you are now? Because even through all those years of being whoever that label was or whatever the label that you put on yourself,
Yeah.
how do you go back and find the person that you were before? How does it, how do you make sense of it? What makes it relevant now?
Or here's the other question. Do you want to go back to that person? You know what I mean? Like some aspects, I think yes, but I do not want to go back to 22-year-old Jamie before Devin. Now, would I change some things around? Absolutely. But I didn't really like her. I'm starting to like this version a little bit more.
And Jeanette, you've been very quiet.
Just been taking it all in, right? Oh, I know. Like, the girls, their friends, they refer to me as, hey, Charlie's mom, hey, Riley's mom, or they'll be like, what do you want me to call you? And sometimes I'm like, I don't know. What do I want you to call me? Just go ahead. Charlie's mom is fine, because I'm just like
Miss Jeanette.
Yeah, Miss Jeanette. Or they'll be like, no, like I try to get my girls to be like, Miss whoever, Miss Alicia, or, but it's hard, right? When the kids are trying to figure out what to call you because they're not sure. So I've been known for the past 16 years, as Charlie's mom, or, the past 14 is Riley's mom. So, or
you kids,
your Matt's sister, and I'm just like, yep, that's me. And like somebody said the other day, I never put two and two together that y'all were brother and sister until Matt said something the other day on one of my posts. He was like, way to go, sister, or something. And somebody's like, wait, y'all are related. It was so funny. But, a lot of people know him as my brother and, me as his sister. And they don't really know our names. It's crazy, but it's true.
Oh my God, that's wild.
That is wild. that is
so
wild. Crazy. But yeah, I mean, I can imagine, that. And I think that some of those labels that we put on ourselves, like mom, sister, all that, those are superficial in who we actually are, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about those labels that we put on ourselves that are deeper. And this is going to be hard. This is going to be a little bit harder to talk about.
Yeah.
So, because, we have a lifetime, when we're kids, that depend, those labels depend. I guess it starts with our parents or whoever our loved ones are around us, and they start saying things to us, like I come from very deep roots, and you're called all these things in Spanish, they can be endearing, or someone can say something really rude. And then we start thinking, well, am I that? Am I, because when somebody calls you pendeja, you're like, and that means stupid for anybody who does not know that. You start thinking, gosh, what did I do? What did I say to deserve that? What did I, then you start questioning yourselves. But then as the years go on and you keep on, like, if you hear something like, oh, well, you're not worthy. You're not good enough. I don't think that you can do this because I don't think that you're good enough to do that. And then that starts eating away at you because that is a label that was just put on you. You're not good enough. And then you start seeing yourselves, well, I'm not good enough. And then that starts deterring you from doing things that maybe you should try. But then you don't because that's in the back of your mind. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So these are some of the negative things. And there are more. There's so much more, especially if you have ever been abused as a grown woman. I've heard many things like you're ugly, you're fat, you're not pretty enough, you're not this, or one of my all-time favorites is, oh, you're pretty, but if you would just lose weight.
There's a but.
There is a bunch and a lot in there. Okay. So, and that's a lot to unravel, especially in a younger mind and a younger adult. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as you get older, some of those things you really start defining who you are as you get older and older. And some people will tell you, and I will tell you the same thing. As I get older, I find that I don't listen to that chit anymore. I don't listen to that anymore. Honestly, because it has no meaning for me anymore. Okay. But even if you're at a younger age, you guys, listen, you don't need to be listening to that either. The only thing that I think that we should be listening to is how we feel on ourselves, and only if it's a positive way to get us through to our next step in life. That's harder to do, though.
It
is so much harder than, Yeah.
I wish I could tell my younger self that.
Right? Like if you just
you're gonna hear things.
Portal.
You're gonna you're gonna hear things. You're gonna feel things. People are gonna feel. You're gonna say things to yourself. Just ignore all that. Who cares? And that's what we tell ourselves now. Like, who cares? Nobody cares. Just as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're doing, your life is doing this, that, and the other. Like, hey, who cares, right? But in the back of your mind, there's still things that you're like, I could be doing this. I should be doing this. I want to be doing this. So like it's a vicious cycle, I call it.
Yeah.
I think some of the things that people tell us still do hurt us because depending on who it comes from, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah.
There's some things you can't just tune out or shut out because it came from somebody you respect or somebody that you really care about. And then you're like, well, dang, is that really true? You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel I don't feel I can shut everything out like 100%, right? Because some things that come from certain people, I just cannot tune it out. And I know that that's a bad thing. So then that's when I just go to my journal and go, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
And that's a way to deal with it. But honestly, at this age, I would have to sit with that person and say, okay, listen, now if I hear it from somebody else, that's hearsay, and I can't, I can't go back to that person and say, oh, by the way, so-and-so told me this and blah, 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 blah. But if I ever hear that person out of their mouth, I've got to say something. I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't be quiet. I really can't. Yeah. I am, I gave notice to my current job, and I was spoken to, about why I gave notice and stuff like that. And I couldn't be quiet about some of the things that were happening. And I couldn't be quiet about things that really mean something to me, because if they do not know that that's happening, because I'm tenured in that company, and I know that losing me is a great loss because I am a fantastic worker. So, and they did ask if there was anything, to keep me. And I'm like, well, if these things were in place already, that would not have been even an issue,
Yeah.
So, and just to keep the relationships going in your life, I think I would rather have that understanding. So that way that person would be more, they would know that it would hurt your feelings rather than, you carry that with you.
Yeah.
So, because there's something.
I think it depends on who it is.
I think so too. Yeah. I think it'd be harder for me to talk to my mother, than anybody, to tell her, hey, can we slow your roll? And, that kind of thing.
I agree with you there.
Yes.
And those are people, some people you can't, well, they say you can't shut them out, but some people do. Some people cut ties with people because of these things. So it's just really about of course, our choices and what we decide, but
and who those people are too, because sometimes they're just so set in their ways, they're just not going to change, period,
Yes. So, and they don't think they're hurting anybody. They're just like, well, I'm just telling you, nobody else is going to say it. So I'm going to tell you, you know what I mean? And you're like,
right.
Well, I was better not knowing things. You know, okay.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, exactly. Gosh almighty, I had a word of wisdom that I wanted to share, and for it just
Lost it.
just went away. Just went away.
Lost it.
Like that was so good too, and I hope it comes back. I hope it comes back. But yeah, I mean, I mean, I've told you some of my labels, that I put on myself. What are some of the labels that you guys have, dealt with before that maybe someone out there listening may, maybe like, yeah, me too. Anything?
I'll let Jeanette go because Jeanette doesn't. I don't feel like I let Jeanette talk about it. And then I'll go.
So I don't know. You all know our family and how our family is, and how they have a tendency to let us know that they're doctors and they're lawyers and they're married to this person and they've got money and we're just little peons, and y'all know those things, right? So sometimes you're just going, wait, am I really worthy to be part of this family gathering, or am I part, is it okay to I guess, like, when we have little celebrations, are they really important or are they not? Because so and so just graduated from law school, and it's hard. Our family is very tough, and y'all know that. Y'all know that.
That's a nice word.
And sometimes
Tough
they
is
make
a
me
nice
feel like I'm not dumb, but I'm not smart enough to have a conversation with them. But I know that I am. But they just want you to remember, hey, I'm Doctor so and so. So you cannot just address them by their name. You have to throw in the doctor before you mention their name. It's really crazy. And Trisha's looking at me like, wait a minute, but have I been?
I have no idea who would actually make a family member do that, but okay,
Oh
wow.
yes. Oh yes.
No,
We'll
I believe
discuss
it.
that off camera.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I believe it.
It would not surprise me. It
Right.
just wouldn't surprise me. I had a conversation with this one doctor one time where he said, "You will address me as," and I'm like, "Well, you were a Mister before you became." So, and I did not know you were entitled to that, to that title. So
That's crazy.
I
Really?
know, but wow. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll take that one offline.
Yes,
Anyway.
we will. And then you'll be like, what?
Yeah.
So for me, y'all, some of the I would say negative that I think I've even put on myself that people might say would be like, how for years, and it's probably still even a thing where people say, oh, I'm a hot mess express, like choo choo, here comes the train or whatever, stay. Some of that we joke about and laugh about, but it applies to so many people. And I hate to keep saying that about myself. Like, at what point am I going to be like, I'm no longer a hot mess express? Like, this train has left the station and gone for good or whatever. Like, that's the one I say a lot, like, oh my gosh, my life is a mess. I'm a mess, blah, blah, blah. And then another one that I know I have recently, within the last, I don't know, like 5 or 10 years, I've become so much more emotional. Like, I cry about the craziest stuff, and I'm hoping that's menopause. Please, somebody come tell me. Because I cry over the silliest stuff, and not cry like boohoo crying, but my eyes start to water, and I'm like, dude, why am I so emotional? Nobody even, you know what I mean? And those are the kinds of things that I'm like hoping to break away from. Like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have empathy. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from. It's not that I'm just, emotional just cause. I think I feel for people. I feel for when they have losses, and things like that. But those are some of the ones I'm trying to no, Jamie, you don't have to be a mess. Like, you don't have to tell people you're a mess. Like, they're probably going to see it for themselves. You know what I mean? It's like those type of things. Stop saying that. And no, you're just living life,
Mm-hmm. And you are, because then when your body starts having those changes, you are going to, it depends on the person. Some people like you, may have like emotions where you cry at the drop of a hat for whatever reason. Some will get just mad,
Angry.
like
Okay.
kicked off, but like I have gone through ups and downs with menopause because I'm in full menopause. And I've gone up and down with my emotions, and mine were more towards, like if I even watch like anything like for somebody coming home from the military or something, girl, I'm waterworks. Okay. I'm just like,
Right.
or,
Tell me who is it?
or whatever, or,
Yeah.
it could be the cutest little kitten just looking up at you. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute. So, I mean, but we all go through different kinds of emotions and stuff. And,
Yeah. But those are the ones I think, like, I don't know how accepting people are of those, like, oh, she's a mess, or oh, she's so emotional. And so it depends, I guess, on the type of emotion, because like if somebody flies off the handle, you're like, okay, dang, what did I say? What did I do? But then if somebody like cries, then they're like, okay, what did I say? What did I do? I mean, so it's kind of like, when is there a healthy balance of being a mess, being this, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all healthy because you're doing it and you're letting it go. I mean, when you think about it, if you cry about it, and then right after that cry, you actually feel better.
Oh, yeah.
No,
agree.
There's something to that. But let's talk about that for a second. Let's say, for instance, you have a girlfriend who is crying all the time, or a girlfriend who just gets mad all the time, or, somebody at church that, or just anybody you steer clear from because they're going through all these emotions. It's so easy for us to judge, or, it's so easy for us to judge, and we're not in that person's shoes. We don't know what they're going through. And the only thing that you can possibly do, or I, for myself, because I can't speak for both of y'all, I would try to get to know them and see, what's going on there. But that may not be easy too, because they may not be approachable. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
They may be like, okay, no, I need you to stay away. So, and those things you have to tread lightly on. But if there's been a person I've known, and they're, I've seen a major change, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? I've, seen that you're, not as happy as you used to be, and, that kind of thing. And normally I'll get like the whole spiel,
Right. Yeah.
And then, it's like I've seen Matt he had a friend just completely drop off, and I'm like, well, where are they at? And he goes, I have no idea. So, you never know what anybody is going through. But see, some of these people do take these labels to heart, and some of them really get depressed about it, or about them, about all the labels that we put on ourselves. Because there's very many, just like you said, there's mother, there's daughter, there's, you like when your kid gets out of school, you're the teacher now too. You're the, counselor. You're the, psychologist. You're the, everything that can possibly be needed in a situation. And you're just like, when can I rest? Or did I tell them enough? Did I give them the right information? How can I help them, get to the next step? Or, and we just put all this worry and all stress on ourselves, because, we carry all this with us. So, we did come up with first of all, oh my gosh, you guys, how do y'all feel if y'all are listening and you're coming in this? I mean, what are some labels that you've gone through, or that you put on yourselves that, that make you feel the way that you do, or someone has said something to you that may not, be the greatest label of all, but if you want to talk about it, we're here for that. But we'd like to hear from you, of course. But as we move on, we did come up with a few things that could help with some of these false labels that we have put on ourselves, and then know that those labels really do not define us. God does. So there we came up with a list of false labels, and then there is a faith-based truth and affirmation with scripture that we can actually pop into the comment section for you guys so that you'll have it. But I wanted to run through some of these. Jamie, do you want to take like the first three?
Well, okay. I don't know about I'm going to speak on the two I just talked about. There's
Okay.
I'm a mess and I'm too emotional.
Okay.
So when you say I'm a mess, the faith-based truth and affirmation is absolutely not. You're a masterpiece in progress. You're like the clay in the potter's hands, right? Just coming together and making this wonderful sculpture thing. And then I'm too emotional is the faith-based truth and affirmation is God made me tender for a reason. I feel deeply, and that is a gift. And then there's scripture, of course, to go with it. But reading those two made me feel like so much better. Just, you know what? That's absolutely right. So those are the two I'm rolling with because there's so many. And not all apply. Yeah.
Jeanette, are there any two that like resonate with you?
I'm not enough. Like, I know that I've said that quite often, and we can go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, and it says, I am enough because God is in me. Like, I always try to tell people, you know, when they think that they're a failure or they're a mistake, I'm like, no, God created you perfectly. Like, you are perfect in God's eyes. But I know that, you know, we can say things and people don't listen, but it's awesome to have the scripture that goes with it. And then I missed my chance, which talks about God's timing. I always say in God's time, right? Like perfect timing. It's always God's time. It's God's time, not my time, right? And I say that. And just because we didn't do something, you know, accomplish something when we were 21 doesn't mean we can't accomplish it in our 50s. And I know Jamie's not in her 50s yet, but I know that Trish and I are. So it's not like we can't accomplish that.
I'm knocking on the door, y'all.
Even though we're not 21, it's all God's timing, right? You know, maybe he didn't want us to accomplish that when we were in our 20s, and he wants us to do it when we are more senior and more, you know, when we know more about what really we want to do and focus on that. So
yeah.
Amen to that one.
Amen. Yes. And it is all in God's timing. And I truly, 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 truly believe in that. One of mine that I really, you know, kind of like put that label on myself is I'm a failure. And the scripture to the opposite of that is Romans 8:1, which is I'm learning and growing. My failure is not my identity. And the other one is I should be further along. And that's from Proverbs 16:9. The affirmation is I'm exactly where I need to be to learn what God is showing me. Mm-hmm. And along with that I should be further along, like what God is showing me, or that I need to, you know, I'm exactly where I need to be. This podcast is, you know, that shows that right there. I believe that God called me to do this, and I have been putting out for so long, and this podcast is exactly where I need to be. Just like I was telling my co-host earlier that, you know, I may not sometimes feel like being on here, but the moment I start looking at this stuff, and the moment that I start, you know, saying, oh, we're going to be with Jamie, we're going to be with Jeanette, we're going to have a good time, that all falls away, because I know this is what we need to be doing, and we need to be here for you ladies. And that way, if any of y'all, you know, need us for anything, we're here for you. So, Jamie and Jeanette, thank you for sharing your favorites. We will go ahead and put that in the chat. Let me see if I can do that for you guys real quick.
Let me see. I don't know if I think I got it. And paste.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Copy and paste. Oops. Y'all may have to try to settle that out, but I'm sure y'all could. So there we go.
Yeah, it's yeah. You can still see it.
Yes.
I love that one about I'm just a mom too. Sorry. I'm raising
Mhm.
world changers. There is no just about it. Moms, please believe it.
Yes, 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 yeah. Just to make sure there's nothing else on here that looks like everything's there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think you got it.
Perfect, perfect,
Good
perfect.
job.
Yeah. Okay. So some of the ways that we can actually like release these false labels that we put on ourselves. Um we talk about journaling all the time here because we have some advent writers. And I think that's one way, of actually writing down what you think your negative label is and either scribbling it out or saying a prayer over it, get that piece of paper, crumble it. I personally like to put fire to it.
Mm,
You know what I mean
absolutely.
is like put crumble a piece of paper and burn it because it's not needed in my life anymore, and that's that. And what do you guys
Yeah.
do?
I had never even thought of doing any of that. Like
Huh?
I had just no, and once you said it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the piece of paper, and I would have just torn it up. But when you mentioned fire and burning, that just sounds even greater, a good deed, because like it will just go away. I mean, like with that piece of paper torn up, it's in the trash and can be put back together. When you burn it, that's it. Like that's the end.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I like that. I like that.
That's what I tell a lot of people to do when they come to me for advice or they're having a hard time. I'm like, hey, write it down and burn it. Walk away. Like, be done. Just, put it all on paper, vomit it all out on paper, and then burn it and release,
Yeah, I love
I like
that.
that.
No,
Vomit it all out on paper.
Vomit it all on
yeah,
paper.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
I think I really, really like that.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I do in my journal. Sometimes I just write and write and write. And it may not even be like my handwriting is horrible, but it's out there. Or sometimes I'll even like just talk it out, right? Because I'll just say it out loud what I need to say. And sometimes I feel so much better after I do that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that
I love it.
100%. Well, we encourage y'all to do the same thing. If y'all, if you're feeling the need to do that, like, had shared before, please write it down. Physically tear it up, toss it, burn it, do whatever it is that, that you will actually release it. Even if you, let's say, for instance, and I think this is probably a cool idea too, is to replace it with an affirmation and probably put that like in a balloon and just release it up into the air and let it go. And so, or you can take all your negative affirmations or negative self-talk and write those down and tear them all up and then put them in a balloon and release them out and say bye-bye,
Yeah.
something like that too. But I encourage y'all to do that if you want to today. And that's we try to do a what do we say? A challenge,
Yeah.
challenge for y'all to do. I challenge y'all to do that. And then once you do that, why don't you comment, today I released the label. You don't have to say what it is. I mean, if you do want to say what it is, that's fine. But if you wanted to say, today I released the label, that would be incredible. That would be really great to know that you guys are, that you're doing that, you're not giving in to these labels that are in your life, because, you're not what they say you are. Okay. You're not. I think that some of this stuff does come through a place of fear because someone's told you and you're just afraid to release it, but release it. So, any final thoughts from anybody?
I think I've been lucky. That's all I'm going to say. I haven't had anybody. The labels I put on myself, I've put on me. I haven't let anybody's, people say stuff. And for a long time, I let people's ideas and thoughts about me really just, oh my gosh, they think this, they think that. And then once you kind of let that go, I realized the labels are me. I'm the one who put them on me. Can't blame anybody but me. And so I need to write those down and let them go. Just That's why I say I've been lucky. If people have talked about me, at some point I was like, whatever, you're gonna talk anyway. It's me that I put those on myself.
I find that to be very lucky.
Yeah. That's why I say I can't. I mean, I know I've been talked about, trust me. But and what? Now what? What good did that do anybody?
Right?
So like I said, for me, it's more about just the ones I put on myself that I need to. We're our toughest critics, right?
Yes.
I know I am. So a lot of it I put back on me. Like, man, you stop doing that.
We are our toughest critics with everything. I think every aspect of our life, or at least I am. Sometimes I have to sit back and go, wait, did I do that right? Was that okay? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
No, and it's so sad that we do that. We're like, oh my gosh, and most people, I tell people all the time, like when somebody says, I don't want to, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, or please don't get your feelings hurt. I'm like, what do you have to say, honey? I don't even care. Like, you're going to tell me something and I'm either going to let it sit with me or I'm going to let it fly right out the side of my head. And half the time I let it fly right out the side of my head. Because what can you do? If you live for other people's expectations, oh my God, you'll be like a rat in a cage on that little thing, just spinning. As long as you aren't hurting anybody and you're taking care of everything, that's just how I feel. I mean, and that goes into so many other deeper conversations. But for me, these labels, again, I put them on myself. And now it's up to me to let them go. I know. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
You can just bust out singing Let It Go, Elsa, Frozen. I mean, come on.
I'm just saying, sometimes you just have to let some of this stuff go. Otherwise, you will be like, oh my gosh.
Spend it wisely. I love it.
Yeah. Spend it wisely. I got that from Fox 4. That's not mine. I wish I was that clever. But in Dallas, there's a Fox 4 little news guy that will say, oh, this Pure Life water is on sale at Kroger today. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely. So when I'm like, oh, yes. Okay. And then I have one more thing before we go, y'all. And this is from a show that I don't know. I don't think you've watched it, Trish. I'm going to call you Trish, even though you're sissy to me. And then Jeanette, I don't know if you've seen it.
Whatever names y'all normally call me.
The show is called Schitt's Creek, and it's SCHITT Creek. And it takes this whole lovely turn of whatever. There is a quote in there, y'all, that the sister says to her brother, and I have put it on a shirt. It is my this is the quote. Nobody cares. People aren't thinking about you the way that you're thinking about you. So we're running around here oh my gosh, do I look okay? Do I look this? Blah, blah. Nobody even cares. If they do, it's a hot second. As fast as everything moves in this society we're in, yeah, you look like a hot mess for a second at a family gathering or whatever, but they're on to the next somebody looking crazy. So nobody cares. People are thinking about the way that you're thinking about you. I have to start, once I heard that, I was like, oh, that's it. Yep. Okay, now that's it for me. Thanks. Mic drop. No, just kidding.
Anything else, Jeanette?
No, I don't think so.
Well, you guys, I tell you what, I mean, those labels are hard. And Jamie says she's very lucky that she's, that she's only put those labels on herself, which, and we've all done it. We've all put labels on ourselves, and it's harder when someone else puts labels on you. I mean, as a woman who comes from an abusive relationship a long time ago, and y'all would think that I've been in this wonderful marriage for 25 years. Yes, we've had our ups and downs and everything else, and we could go on. And I could probably spend 2 or 3 episodes probably talking about just that, but we're not. But anyway, but that abusive relationship took me 3.5 years to find out who I was again, because of the codependency that I was living in, that we both were living in that. But it took me quite a while to find who I was again. And I was very mad at myself because I knew I should have known better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I also think it's because you loved this person.
And yes, and that is a great thing. But sometimes when that codependency comes above that love, that's where it gets really dangerous. And so, and of course, we'll talk about it in another episode. Now, what's coming for next episode, we have not talked about as co-host. So that'll be a surprise to everybody.
Okay.
So we are going to go ahead and end our little show right now. So just like we say, keep faith, spread love, and savor every sip of life. Until the next time, you guys, take care and keep brewing positivity. We'll see you the next time.
Bye.
Bye.